Emily Miller.
Turning up like a bad penny.
Here we are. Well, it is so great to have you here today. We are going
I'm happy to be here. I really am. Yeah.
We're gonna have we've had so much fun already with this herringbone stitch, with planning for your future lives.
Dinner.
You had, and you had the project that you came up with yesterday. Just you wait.
Oh yeah.
Just you.
Yeah,
wait.
you guys
It's
are gonna love
one.
it. It's gonna be a.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be an instant hit, and it's got a lot of potential. You know,
it has a lot of curb appeal for very little input.
Yeah.
Well, not very little, but you know what I
You'll
mean.
be adding to your stack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In other words.
You'll definitely be adding to your stack.
Yeah.
So let's see. Let me see if I can find everybody on the social.
Looks
on
like
the
we're
social. There's a little something flying around here.
Hi, Spidey. How are you? It's good to see you.
It's great to have everybody here. Let's see if I can find. There we are. I see us live. There we are. I think if I can get my phone to
Hello from Iowa. Hi, Lori. Hi, Sherry James.
There we go.
We got a couple of Iowas.
All right,
Really?
it's great.
Yeah.
Great
Wow,
to have
Iowa.
everybody here.
Y'all better get together, huh?
Ray and Lori.
And we're here. Okay, so we've got Geeta over moderating as beadshop.com on our Facebook page. And we've got Janice over moderating the live chat over on YouTube. So I know a lot of you guys, my mom included when she watches, she likes to have YouTube big.
On the big screen.
On the big screen, us on the big screen.
Right.
And she likes to have the phone for comments, which is kind of awesome. I know a lot of you guys do that. And I know, Emily, there have been a lot of new watchers lately, which is very exciting. It's great to see you guys out there in Facebook and YouTube land.
Are we ready for a face roll call at some point soon? Because we haven't had that in a while.
Oh, selfie.
Selfie roll call.
Selfie roll call. Shall we do it right now
I think
while
we
I
could.
keep explaining?
Yeah.
So, if you're new to Bead Shop and new to our broadcasts, hang on while we take a selfie. Super cute. Maybe one more. Chin down. There we go. All right. That's how I do it. We're ridiculous. When Emily is here, see how much trouble I get into?
Wait, let me throw something out there. We'll just go off the script right away.
Totally.
The script that varies.
The very
prompters are
the prompters are going up and down like, we're lost.
So if you're brand new, thanks for sticking with us through this craziness. But we did want to let you guys know that we do the broadcasts, of course, every week on Wednesdays and Fridays. Wednesdays are more formal broadcast, if we can call it formal, right? Our official live broadcast. We do it both here on our Facebook page and on our YouTube channel, which you can give both a follow. Beadshop.com. You can also go to our website, and during the live broadcast, we actually stream on the website. It's on our projects page, and it's just right there on right at the top of the projects.
I'm going there right now.
You are going on there right now.
I'm going on there right now.
Right now. Maybe Karen hasn't linked it yet.
No.
Or maybe it's coming up. It's still loading, I think.
It is. It's still
but when later, if you catch us afterwards, after the broadcast, and it's not live, you can find it in our archive in our YouTube channel and on Facebook. And if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, which we really recommend that you do, you get an automatic notification when we go live. So it's kind of a fun way to help you guys there. We also have all of the learning that's centered around these broadcasts, our Wednesday broadcasts. We do something called episode notes. Andrea takes the episode, watches it, and encapsulates it in a document.
It's really the
it's
handout.
Like the notes.
It's the
handout.
It's the handout to go with this class, and I appreciate Drea's patience so much, because I'm sure she watches this and scrolls forward, scrolls back, scrolls forward, and goes, what the heck did they just say? And wait a minute, that doesn't really match.
Yes.
And there's always questions that are always going to come up. You know, we do this live, which means it's a little bit of a seat of the pants.
Sometimes, yes, it is true.
And things don't always go as planned.
Right.
But that's okay.
We make corrections, or we make additions. And also during the broadcast, on Wednesdays, while Brandwin is working the camera, she also takes photos so the photos that you see in our episode notes are most of the time, almost every single time, taken by Brandwin during the broadcast. So there's a lot of stuff going on, you know, so we're doing all this stuff behind the scenes. But the episode notes are great because what Drea also does is she puts in the timestamp.
Right.
So, like all of this chit chat and all of this, you know, hoo-ha and stuff like that we chat about, you can fast forward through all of that and get right to the learning part. And you can kind of jump forward to go, oh, okay, they did this here. What's the next big thing that they do? Okay, I'm going to jump forward to here. So it's really, I think it's really super helpful. Drea does a fantastic job. Brandon does a great job with all the photos. Brandon takes like hundreds of photos during the broadcast, and then Drea and Brandon pair them down, and that's what ends up in the episode notes. So it is really, it's a super team effort here, of course, to put this broadcast on. Free Tip Friday is a different thing. I'm flying by the seat of my pants alone.
But you know, Free Tip Friday is
it has a casual vibe.
It's a little more casual, but it's also it's a smaller, less involved thing.
Yeah, it's
and
usually
so you go into it a little bit more in depth, and there's the variations and like your earrings that you're wearing.
Right, and it's a little more of a like you know, sitting around the bead table and chatting about certain things. So we've got both of those broadcasts. Yes. I also wanted to mention, you guys, some other things are coming down the pike, which are very, very exciting. We have some great plans. I've been chatting with Emily, and we have scheduled some studio classes, which will be live here at beadshop.com at our studio here in Redwood City. We're also making plans to be able to stream some of those classes. And I'm kind of juggling around with how we're going to do that. So stay tuned for those. So those of you who join us in person, that's great. And some of you who are across the miles, across the seas, across the universe, wherever you are, you'll be able to also join us for those classes. So we're really, really very excited about
I'm dying to get back in the classroom.
And you've had, how many years have you been teaching jewelry classes, Emily?
20? I started part-time teaching jewelry classes in, I think, 2000.
Right, so almost 20 years. Yeah.
Actually,
I feel like it was a little before that, maybe.
Might have been a little bit before that, but 99, 2000. But I started making beaded jewelry in high school. Yeah. And then I kind of went away from it. I did metalsmithing. I did art school with no jewelry, no metalsmithing at all. And then kind of circled around to beading because I wanted to knot some pearls. And went into a bead shop and went, oh.
Pearl knotting, as we like to say, is
the gateway drug.
It's the gateway drug, but also, Janice, you know what it is. Shout it out, Janice, from Virginia. It's the backbone of jewelry making.
It really, I come back to it regularly, like I do wire work.
The other backbone of jewelry making.
And peyote stitch. Backbone number 3.
Right.
No, I got into pearl knotting and just in the enjoyment of working with beads and kind of finding that path. And then seed beads are kind of they're a little bit of an addiction also because they are so mesmerizing. Yeah. And they have such a wide palette of colors. Yeah. And it's easy to reorder the same color. Again, if you run out. Right. You know,
to remake and remake.
Yeah, and I have favorites that always come back around and I will never give up on certain colors. But I think for me, getting into classes and taking classes, I had a terrible want to have a lot of skills under my belt and to be able to do all the things I wanted to do. And I know that the more I learned, the easier the more advanced learning got.
Yeah, and that's kind of something that this broadcast is all about and what you've done with your Seed Bead School broadcasts. You know, when Emily was my regular sidekick here, which I miss that. But you were living the life up in NorCal, which is great.
I'm living in the country.
In the country.
Yeah. Where we go to town.
But with right, like we did a little we're going to town. The Seed Bead School projects, and you can find them over on beadshop.com. If you go to our projects page and you click on Seed Bead School, the wealth of kind of the Seed Bead School knowledge is all dropped right there under that project
And there
section.
will be more, don't you worry.
Yeah, there'll be more. And so that's kind of what we're doing today is kind of a continuation of our original Seed Bead School that we did with your tubular herringbone.
Well, we were playing around with this kit. And I really had this idea, not this kit, I'm sorry, it was a monthly mix, I think that
Right.
Jenny did
Way
way
back in the day.
And
You guys will remember this, candy floss it's called.
I saw it in the tube and I went, oh my God, I know what that's going to be right away. You know, I would say it's a real 50-50 split for me. I will buy a bead just because I know that bead is going to be important later and I need it. And I will buy a bead with a specific thing in mind, like it speaks to me that first moment.
Right, I'm kind of the same way. I'm like, I have that bead lust there, and then I have this particular
I know what's going to happen to this.
Right, exactly.
So this colorway and this kit,
the mix,
monthly mix, it just screamed out for me to do this with it. And this is how it came out of the tube. Remember, it was
tube
stacked.
And stacked. Yeah, and this was the monthly mix.
Love it.
It was Gita just linked it over on the Facebook feed. And if you go to, as I say, beadshop.com, go to projects, go to Seed Bead School, you'll see this here.
I feel like it was this time of year, but not last year.
Yeah,
the year before.
I think so. 2 years.
Yeah.
We've been doing these broadcasts a long time.
Oh, my
so
word.
again, if you're new, go back to the archive. There's so much learning there. So we're going to move this camera around because I want to talk a little bit about what we're going to be doing today. Emily and I also we've been talking over on the bead table. If you know our bead table group over on our Facebook page, if you don't, go join it. There's a lot of great stuff going on, including a challenge that I'm going to talk to you guys about at the end of the broadcast. That Allie and the Bead Shop design team have cooked up together, which is going to be really exciting. But we always talk over at the bead table a lot about color and a lot about color paletting and design. And there's a couple of kind of cool books that we want to share with you. Then I want to share some other projects with you. And then we're going to go right into Tubular Herringbone. So let's flip that camera around, Bryn.
All right.
And get this show on the road. There we go. So if we want to get the cord that way, this needs to lift.
Yeah. Just need to get that.
There we go. Yeah. Looks good. And then this needs to be tightened.
And I think I want it up just a little bit more. So,
great.
Because there's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. Is this big enough? You tell me. Okay, so we've got some books. Emily, you walked in with an old favorite. Janice, you'll remember this one. We had a copy, I think, at the brick and mortar when we
This
had.
one?
No, this one. But this is one of my other all-time favorites.
I recently moved, which some of you know, obviously. And every time you move, you seem to misplace some things. I'm still looking for a couple of things in the house, even though all the boxes are pretty empty. But one of the books that I just had to replace, and I realized that it came with a new edition, is called Gemstones of the World. And this was a book that we used at the bead store a lot as a kind of a Bible and a reference book to send you back. And it's actually an amazing reference book because it talks all about the mines. It talks about how things are mined, the hardness of stones, which gives you some information there. A whole thing about diamonds. It has a whole section at the back about metaphysical stones. And
this was really, I know that I had one in my bead store. I know that we had one at the bead shop when we had the brick and mortar.
It used to have a bright red cover.
Yeah, I remember.
And this is the new one.
I think mine actually, I feel like mine.
This is from 2014, so it's sort of new.
Maybe. I'll have to look at mine and see.
This is so I was really pleased that even though I had to replace it, I got a new version.
Yeah, you got a new version. It's really good. And then, so it's a great one for your library. This is one that both Emily and I have.
We picked this up separately and we talk about it.
And you know, this actually is out of print now.
It is.
Pull it up a little bit. But we it's called Design Language by Tim
Tim. I think you can probably still find it on.
No, what you can do is he offers it as a download.
Oh, does he?
So if you go to Tim's, I'm going to actually turn this.
Bryn Morgan Press.
Bryn Morgan, I think it's right here. So if you go to Bryn Morgan Press, and this is Tim McCrate, the wonderful metalsmith, as I like to call him, the grandfather of metalsmithing.
He's kind of the modern teacher of metalsmithing that most of us
learn from his book.
Yeah.
And most of us learn from his book. But if you go to Bryn Morgan Press, he has a lot of resources there, not only metalsmithing resources, but you can also download digital copies of some of his books. And Design Language is one of those that is now digital.
This is really a book it's not a textbook, and it's a reference book, but it talks about in very simple terms, elements of design.
Yeah,
and
it's
you
so
could really
good.
apply it to anything. You wouldn't have to just apply it to jewelry making, but you'll sometimes need a little inspiration, or you want to think about contrast or repetition, or
it just
content.
Has, it just has interesting words. Yeah, I love this book.
I find it inspirational, you know, and it's not a book that I go to kind of with anything in particular in mind, but I will go and browse through it for inspiration.
It's a great one, and it's beautifully laid out, so it's really great. I have this one as well. I love it. So you guys can check it out digitally or look for a used copy. I also found, we've been talking a lot about color, and this is a new one that it's one that I've seen, a new old one, and I finally got this guide. This one is called Color Problems. It is a book that was published at the turn of the last century, 1901, and it was a book that was used by color students, art students, and here is the authoress right here. But she talks, you know, I kind of love like this old style language that isn't a super quick read. You know, you have to kind of stop and go, oh, okay, that's what they're talking about. That's what they mean.
One of the things I like about these older
color theory
color books too is they're really talking about colors in print.
Right.
They're not talking about digital colors.
Right.
Which is a different it's a different animal. So we're talking about actual pigments and layering of pigments to get colors or to preserve a color or to make an effect. And to me that's a little bit more actual than it would be. We can make lovely digital photos on our phone, but until you get them out of your phone and onto some sort of printed medium, they don't mean that much to me yet. Right. You know, it's like a negative or a slide. Well, even a slide is more important. But
I love this photo, the Milton Bradley color machine. Way back in the day. It's kind of cool. So it has like different things about color. It's an interesting one. I pulled it off of Amazon. And again, it's called Color Problems, a practical manual for the lay student of color. Hand me that Tim McCrate one more time. Okay. People were asking about Bryn Morgan Press. I'll put it a little bit closer. I don't know if you can see that right there. It's Bryn Morgan, BrynMorgen, Bryn Morgan Press. You can also just look up Tim McCrate and his books, and if you'll find it. If you are
looking for a beginning metalsmithing book,
other than mine.
Other than Kate's.
No, it's true.
And really, his book is not like yours. It's a reference book.
It's a reference book. His book is incredible, and that's how, you know, Tim and I, we've been colleagues for a long time, and the first time I ever met him, I said, Tim, thank you so much for being such an excellent instructor. I learned everything that I know from you. And he said, you were a very good student, very quiet, didn't bother me at all. So it was very funny.
So Tim McCrate's The Complete Metalsmith is a wonderful reference book to have in your library as well.
So as we start and talk about Seed Bead School and talk about some of the basics, you guys have, last week on Facebook Live, we jumped in and we did a bunch of brick stitch. And I know that brick stitch now is blowing up over on the bead table, as well as a lot of you guys have emailed me your beautiful pieces and stuff like that. So I just wanted to do kind of a shout out on some of our other brick stitch pieces that Emily did our brick stitch, our Seed Bead School. I think it was starting with this brick stitch heart, and this was called Heart on My Sleeve. Yeah. This was probably a project that we did a couple of years ago, and it's great. So that's up there. And
I think I did that when you were gone.
Maybe. I feel like we did these together.
Did we?
I think so, because I did that funny colorway, and my heart is still only half done. But
perfect.
You also did these brick stitch earrings.
Yes, the lantern earrings.
Right, the lantern earring, which I just adore, and I know that a lot of you have made a variation of this as well. And then last week I did also, based on our dancer earring that we have in brick stitch, as well as some inspiration from our bead shop design team member Danielle Wicks. She did a wonderful brick stitch hoop. So I pulled all of that inspiration and we created kind of this, we call that the Mambo earring, which was kind of fun.
I love that.
It is a good summer wear. I'm really loving it. Then I threw together this, I don't know, it feels like if I had gone to the Met Gala, these were the earrings that I would have worn, I think. But these, the brick stitch with the I Ching coin. Drea is writing it up, and we'll have this as a project up on our website
that
soon.
Was inspired.
It was fun. You know,
piece.
The I Ching coin I think is really fun, and you guys have been brick stitching around everything, around washers, around, I don't know, whatever it is. It's amazing. And so you can also find, I've been posting some short little videos over on our Instagram feed at beadshop.com. You can see our Instagram TV channel over there, and it just has some short little videos that then I also go ahead and upload on our YouTube channel as well. So you can find a short little video about this one also, as I said, on our YouTube and on our Insta feed. I also wanted to mention when Emily did her bead embroidery class, this was the bead embroidery seed bead school, you made a really beautiful pie. And I guess I was kind of channeling the inspiration from your seed bead school. You guys have seen this brooch that I wear quite often. And so it just also kind of fits in with those crazy brick stitch pieces that I did.
It's lovely to see that your colorways all are relatable. You know, they are all related to one another a little bit. And the shadows, of course, are kind of a
right,
good
a signature, right.
Yep. But I think I could spot a Kate Richburg's piece now at 50 paces.
Because I'm trying. I've got to break out of my color range, right? But you'll see. But you'll see these guys up, as I said, as a project soon, which is kind of fun. And I explained a little bit about how this went together in the Instagram video that I did. But that brings us to your piece, and we talked about in the test today earlier that you have visited this tubular herringbone before.
Oh yeah.
And we did it way back when you and I did I did one, it was a loomed piece, and you did this as the tubular herringbone.
It was fun that we did that sort of little challenge.
Yeah, challenge. It was really fun. And so from this, we were talking about projects and things that we wanted to do. And you were like, you know what? Let's revisit the herringbone, but let's revisit it in a more opulent manner, right?
And, you know, I kind of felt like I was channeling a little bit of Cynthia Thornton.
Green Girl Studios.
This feels like a necklace that she would wear.
Yeah.
And
For sure.
She does a lot of bringing in lots of different materials, And, you know,
Her things have a lot of whimsy about them.
They do. And this has a little bit of whimsy, too. And I had really been in kind of a green mood and was looking at wooded areas at my house and being inspired by the spring green grass and the spring green of the trees, which suddenly went from no leaves to leaves overnight.
Right.
And
all that rain.
And yeah, all that rain. So that was a really fun thing to kind of have my inspiration from. But also having the little charms.
Yeah, all these little charms. And you could use any of Cynthia's pieces that we carry would just go seamlessly in here.
Yeah.
So the way this episode is going to run is Emily has one of her famous charts that she's going to talk us through about doing the actual herringbone stitch. And I will confess, I've been working on this piece all week, and I've been doing it wrong all week, and I'll show you how I did it wrong, which is, you know, it's much easier when you follow Emily and do it right. Right? So we're going to take a look at the basics of the stitch, and then we're going to jump in, and I'll bring this piece back in, and we'll look at these elements. So let's move it over to Em.
Okay.
And
so I produced a couple of quick charts, and one thing I don't have with my limited skills on the computer, as good as they are, is a way to do this in a real 3D sort of fashion. And, you know, I know that folks really like the rope effect. So bead crochet, this tubular herringbone, there's a bunch of things we can do that give us that sort of ropey kind of effect. So I'm going to show you this flat, but I'm going to actually do it tubular, which is a little awkward, but I hope you'll stick with me here and be patient with yourselves and with me. Like brick stitch, herringbone generally will start off with a base row that has some stacks of beads. So just like if I was creating something out of brick stitch, I would do the same little process here that I would do with herringbone. And when I made this necklace, can you slide that sample over for me? When I made this necklace, each of these sections was made independently. So each one made separately, not all joined together until the end. Okay. And really, I truly was just letting myself have free rein and deciding how I was going to do it as I went. There was very little pre-planning on my part on this one. I did make it long enough to go over my head, so we're probably talking about 28 inches or maybe 30 inches now altogether from end to end. Including these big rings. So it's a little easier not to worry about measuring until you're assembling.
Ready.
Okay. So each of these sections I made, and I made each one leaving about an 8-inch tail of thread. Now, I've said this before with seed bead school, that when you are seed bead weaving, it's easier to weave in those tails later than try and tie stuff off and kind of have no knot or anything at the very beginning. So leaving a 10-inch or 8-inch thread at the end allowed me to go back and make my connections into any of these rings at either end without any big trouble.
Worrying.
Yeah, no big thing to think about. I didn't need to use a stopper bead because these beads are going to very quickly become their own stopper bead. So that's a little bit different from peyote stitch or brick stitch even. So I'm going to start with 4 beads, and I'm going to string my 4 beads on my needle and thread. Oops, I didn't start my ink out. Here we go. I'm going to go ahead and string my 4 beads on. And so this is really 1, 2, 3, and 4, the 4 beads that I put on all at once. And I brought my needle and thread back around through them again. So this is very much brick stitch, right? And as my thread comes out, I picked up 2 more. So here's where you have to be paying attention just a tiny bit for this. And this is easy because you're going to do it several times, and it's a very small amount of beads and a small amount of thread. So I would start with the 11s of our mix that we worked with. 11s have a good enough hole to pass through a bunch of times, but they're not going to wobble around on the thread. The cubes have a little bit of a bigger hole, so do the 8s and the glass pearls. All those have that bigger hole, and they're going to move around a little bit more on your thread. So if this is now bead 5 and 6, I'm going to bring my needle and thread back around, down through 3 and 4, and back up through 5 and 6 and come out. And that'll allow me to pick up 7 and 8 and bring my needle right through there.
And this is still flat. And
right now this is just flat. So to make it into a tube, I'm going to actually come out of 8 and I'm going to go back into, and it'll be coming up through 1. Okay? And that'll pull it around into a tube. So from looking down on it from the top, you'll end up with a little square of 4 beads. So that's my tube, quote unquote tube. Right?
So will you show us now?
I will. I'll do it right now.
In beads?
Live.
Live in beads.
Live in beads. I brought a couple of colors to muck around with.
Yeah, and we're going to do this in 8s, so they're a little bit bigger.
A little bit bigger. And you know, I'm a piler, so I like to just tip out a few beads in a little pile, so it's easy to scoop up the beads. I will have to have a triangle later.
I've got one
to
right
scoop
here
those
if you need
beads
them.
up. And I picked up some red thread, which makes it easy to see in contrast. And I'm going to do the same color on all of this base row. I think it'll make it a little easier. So I'm going to start with 2 beads and then 2 more. So that's my first, that's my first 4 beads. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to slide them down near the end of my thread. And again, I'm going to leave a good 8-inch long tail. And I did wax my thread. I'm going to bring my needle back up through 1 and 2. Slide it down. And when you make this first little loop, they kind of sit together side by side. Okay? And I'm going to come down again through 3 and 4.
So you've made like a little box.
Little cube, 2 little squares. And pick up 2 more beads. Okay? 5 and 6. So my needle's going to come back around again, go down through 3 and 4. This is a super challenge because it's not only at the end of my focal range, but just about at the end of my arm's length reach here I'm working, just to let you know. Back up through 5, 6. Oops. come on off. Let go of my finger. Thank you. And as I pull this together, you'll see that it's starting to kind of line up, just like that little chart looked. And I'll pick up a couple more and circle around again. So I have my 4 pair of beads. How's that?
Looks perfect.
Right?
That's
my base row.
2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
And actually 1, 2, 3, 4. The reason I do stacks of 2 here is typically when I'm working with 11s, they're tiny.
Right.
And it's actually just a little easier. Later on, you won't be able to tell where these stacks started and stopped.
Right.
So don't worry that these look a little different than the rest of the herringbone. It's all going to come out in the wash.
So this is where you take it from being flat to taking it to a cube.
Right. I'm going to fold it right around. Right? That's looking down on it. And I'm going to come back up through 1, 2.
And you're using, what size needle are you using?
I'm using a 10 here.
And we're just using, you've used KO from
I did. I just grabbed some red colored thread from my seed beads kit. Yep. And right around. And there's my small cube here.
Ready to go.
Ready to go. Now, another quick seed bead school thought. When you start to put a piece of thread in your hands, try not to use too long a thread. If you use something in about 1.5 yards or so at a time, that's about as much as you can keep from tangling and kind of be useful at a time. Don't ever think that you can just string on 8 yards of thread and never have to change your thread needle in your project. It's just going to make you crazy, and you'll spend a lot of time untangling knots, and that's no fun. That's not beading.
No, just learn how to add your thread and take your thread away.
Right. So I'm going to bring my needle so that it's coming out of the top of my stacks, and that would mean to go again through 3, 4, coming up, and it's going to come out of my stacks, and I'm going to move back to my chart real quick for just a moment. Okay, so give you a moment to think about that.
Back to the chart.
So from here on out, the rows are all going to come along in just the same exact fashion. And I know, Kate, you were struggling a little bit with adding some other shapes of beads.
I'm still struggling. I'm waiting for you to teach me. I'm very excited. I was struggling with this basic stitch. I'm telling you.
The process, where I've used lots of different sizes of beads, it's exactly the same.
You know what I think my issue was, and I'll show you guys my mistake
I know exactly what your
at
issue
the end, so you guys can see what I was doing. But since Emily told me what I was doing wrong, my piece is a lot more stable.
Well, I think you didn't actually have enough room to fit those beads in.
Yeah.
And so it was giving you fits.
Yeah.
But one of the things that's interesting to notice, and it shows really nicely on these Miyuki pearls, is you can see how large the hole is and how big the bead is itself on the outside diameter. But where it nestles inside, the thread pulls the holes together, the edges of the holes together. Yeah. So even though those beads are far apart, seemingly, the hole where the thread goes through is actually pretty close together. Yeah. So you can use a smaller bead next to bigger beads. You can go right to a bigger bead with no an abrupt transition, if you like.
I can't wait to see that, because mine was a mess.
You can make all kinds of choices here. So our supply list on this one does actually have a pretty broad variety of beads. But I think if you're kind of pulling from your stash at home, look for a good variety of beads that range from an 11, an 8, a delica, a little shadow, a regular shadow, a 6, a cube, kind of in those kind of ranges, and you'll be in really good shape. You could throw a 4mm fire polish in here if you wanted to, or a 3mm fire polish. A 6mm fire polish is getting pretty big. I would try it. I wouldn't write it off at all, but I would give it a try. Okay, so my next row is going to sit on top of this base row. And so from here on out, we're just going to continue. It's going to be lather, rinse, repeat, as I like to say. The same all the time. Okay.
And so when we're doing this, I have a question that we're going to table here for a second, but Angie's asking about twisted herringbone. And let's do this, and then you're going to talk about that variation.
I haven't talked about twisted herringbone yet.
You talked about it it's the steps that make it twisted. Is that right?
No, not exactly.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll table that conversation.
Yeah, if we don't mind, we'll table it for another project.
Okay, gotcha.
We'll get through this one and then we'll go. So my thread's going to coming out here, right? And I'm going to pick up 2 beads at a time. So the herringbone, I'm always going to pick up 2 from here on out. And I'm going to pick up each 2 in the order that I'd like to see them. So we could actually have a separate bead here. You've done some stripes on yours.
I have.
So we could consistently make this first bead a different color,
right?
If we wanted, or
so that's
or
how you do color work.
Yeah,
you just be consistent.
Yeah, just be consistent. So I'm going to pick up 2 beads, and I'm going to bring my needle and thread, which passes through these guys, right down into the stack. Now, to get yourself established right away, and to continue to do this herringbone feel, to get these beads that kind of offset a little bit, we're going to go into the stack, but we're not going to go all the way through.
Okay.
We're going to come out, and we're going to bridge across to the next pair of stacks, and come up, and pick up 2 more beads, and come down. Okay?
This is your second row.
Yep. Well, this is our first real row.
Real row, right.
So I'll pick up a different color.
Okay.
I'm going to pick up these pretty greens. Now, these size 8s do have some shape and size variation. If you can look at this one, I'll hold still for a minute for Brandon to kind of scoot in a little bit. These 2 green beads are different sizes. One is taller than the other. In this variation, I would not worry about it. If you were to have a much greater variation, unless you're consistent about it, it's going to give you a wonkier look. So I would probably discard one of these beads. I always like to look at my bead when I put it on my needle before I take the stitch.
Vet it a little.
Right? So I'm going to take my stitch now by bringing my needle down through the neighboring stack bead. So it's the base row bead. I'm going to pull, and you'll see those 2 beads sit sort of side by side with that little bit of a wonky feel to them. Okay? And I'm going to bridge across. That means I'm going to go between the rows of beads, between the stack, and back up the very next one. Pick up 2 more beads. And I like that when you said vetting the beads. It's very good. It's a very good visual. Those look great. And I'm going to go down, out. So now I have my 2 first rows of beads. Okay, I'm going to go right across the stack and back up again, and I'm going to go up through what was my very first new color here. Okay, so herringbone's kind of interesting. What you'll end up with is a pair of beads that sit firmly on top of the stacks, and some beads below that don't sit quite so firmly. Okay.
Right, that's what was giving me a little bit of an issue.
Yeah.
Too.
So I'm going to go back to yellow just to have a different color here so it shows up. And I'm going to go down through my stack and through the row below. Now, this is kind of the setup for this particular stitch, and you have to do this one little similar pass. So I'm going to bridge between the same group of beads and go back up. Pick up 2 more. Vet them carefully. Go down. And back up. So I'm bridging at the same spot here, and this is just in really my setup row. My first couple of rows, my first 2 rows here of beads, and then we're going to have a more consistent pickup. Okay. So you can see now that the 2 columns of beads are separated a little bit. See how they gap open? There's some interesting things you can do with herringbone. You can actually put beads in that gap, in that bridge, and have some more places to design
add your beads. Nice.
So that's kind of fun. That's coming along too. So now I'm going to drop down and I'm going to go through 2 beads. So every time I do this, I'm going to go through 2. I'm going to go down through 2 and then up through 2. Okay? See how that's happening? So that bridge is moving up the columns with my beads.
And that's exactly where I was.
Well, you were doing, I'll show you one more little step where I'm going to go down through 2, Now this time, I'm going to end up going up through 3. Kate was only going down through 1. She did not have this large gap that was happening every time, right?
I had a tiny little gap.
And that really, this is really what you want to have. That tiny little gap, while the look of herringbone was really coming along, I think that you weren't getting the space that you wanted to put in a bigger bead.
Well, that, and I also feel like it wasn't, and I'll show you when we look at my piece, that it wasn't as sturdy. I felt that it's a little flippity floppity.
Right, down through 2. Now, if I'm really working this good, I can make my bridge and my first stitch happen all at once.
That's also what I was not doing.
You weren't able to do that.
No, and that makes it move up just a little bit. It makes it
slow.
It was slow
going.
Yeah,
right.
Low.
Couldn't quite tell what color was on there. So I actually am holding this the way I would normally hold. So I'm going to go down through 2, and this time coming up, I have to go through 3. If I go through only 2, I'm going to have an angle here. That's not right. I want to go straight across and go up through 3. Okay. How's that? Everybody with me?
I think everyone's with you.
Excellent.
Everyone is mesmerized, including me.
I'm gonna throw caution to the winds
and
add a big bead.
Do it.
So I grabbed some 6s, and I'm just gonna throw a few on here. Actually, these are pretty darn consistent.
Yeah.
You may find some irregularities in size 6s and bigger beads, and like Kate said, it's great to vet them. But I'm just gonna look at them on my needle before I take my stitch. If you make a mistake with a stitch, there are 2 things you can do. Pull the thread out, and then pull the thread out of the needle, and just pull the thread loose. So
that's
use
what
your
I had
awl
to do
to pick it apart.
Yeah,
I think that's probably the safest way to go. If you've simply gone through with the needle and nowhere else, gone through 1 bead or a pair of beads, you can try backing it out with the eye first. But generally, it's safer to pull the needle out of the thread and just pick your way back with an awl. Remember, when you are stitching, as much as possible, that you'd like to have your needle go against the glass of the bead rather than through the thread of the stitch previous. So as much as possible, stay away from the place the thread already is.
So you don't split that thread.
So you don't split that thread, because that's pretty sad too.
Oh my gosh, going down through 2, Emily, who knew?
I have changed your world.
Yeah.
Down through 2, up through 2. This one. Now, if you feel like you're getting lost with this, what you want to do is look for the bridges. So the bridges are in between the columns of beads. So you need a bridge in between each column. And if you feel like you've missed it, you can undo and go back and fix your bridge. You can also stitch down in there and make a bridge and come back up and kind of go back to your normal route. But I tend to fix it if I have to.
And then you talked about that. I was so intent on untangling my thread. You talked also about the step up.
Right. Well, this is the step up. When you have to go up through 3.
Right.
You'll find yourself.
You'll see it.
You'll see it. So here's the bridge is down below.
Right.
This is the next bridge. But I've got to go through 3 beads on this one.
Yeah.
That is my step up.
That's the step up right there.
Right there.
And you'll notice also, if you're doing it in stripes like Emily is doing, you'll come around and you'll go, oh, wait a minute.
It's not lining up.
It's not lining up. So that's how you know you have to go. It almost feels like you're going down 1, going to 3.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and do another row here with, I'm going through 2. I'm going to go make my bridge across and back up. What happens when you throw in a big bead is you sort of cinch up after that the next row that you make, you'll cinch it back together again. And this is where the thread pulls the beads kind of together in the middle. And it's okay that there's a bunch of beads sticking out plus the hole. That's the way it should be. Okay, go down. I'm going to go down through 2. So there's a bridge down below there, but this one I'll have to go up through 3.
So you're always stitching above the bridge.
Yes. It'll be the bead that has no bridge needs a bridge.
Right.
Right across. Look how cool that is.
Yeah.
I love how those big beads look in there.
Yeah, it looks great.
Right?
And I was also, so that was it, and someone over on YouTube is also making the comment, I was going down, instead of through 2, I was going down through 1. And it made it harder to stitch.
Right.
And it's not as supported.
Right.
So.
Ginger says it's clear as peanut butter.
Yeah. So let's take a look at your piece again.
Sure.
And you're going to share how we did, how you did some of those.
Pass me that triangle real quick.
Yeah. How you did some of the connections.
Oh, yes.
Here. And let's look at that.
So, you know, I said earlier to leave yourself a nice...
and I'll show you guys, I'll give you a little peek of
nice
what I've
tail
got
of
going.
thread, because we'll use it for our connections.
Mm-hmm. And so you can see here, Emily was talking about how I was doing some stripes over here. So here's my
Yeah, you
colors.
can do verticals or horizontal
Yeah,
stripes.
and so what I'm using, and the materials are on the website. I used this matte metallic tarnished silver, which is this guy, and the stripe that it's kind of going back and forth with is the matte transparent gray AB. So I kind of like that transparent and the opaque together. Then I've used, of course, the little shadow, and you can see here I've done some sections of the Delica metallic dark brown. And so that's what I've got going on here so far. Now what you've got on your piece, Emily, you've also, and I also have these Baroque pearls that I've got to play around with too. But for the base of your piece, you used the Duracoat galvanized sea green.
You know,
right?
I really am excited by Duracoats, and for a long time in seed bead land, you weren't really able to have a lot of good metallic colors because the color would wear off.
Would come off, yeah.
And God, I cannot tell you that there's anything more frustrating than having made something and then you're looking at it, you're like,
wait a minute.
Why does that not look as shiny as it was before?
Yeah.
My very first pair of brick stitch earrings had the gold come off. And it was
frustrating.
So frustrating. And it made me go away from metallic beads for years. Multiple years.
But the Duracoats really
the Duracoats are there. They are permanent and lovely. So yeah, the galvanized sea green, so gorgeous.
Yeah, it's gorgeous with that.
Walking around and looking at trees, and I also noticed that we had a really great mushroom season this year up in Lake County, where I'm from. And I really felt like this green needed a little bit of ivory mixed in. And we did that with 2 beads, really. We did it with the dark beige Ceylon, which I think
nice.
is really, it's just a nice little kicker of tanny brown.
And has a nice sheen to it, too.
And then we did the Baroque pearl in the silver. Again, it's got that little bit of a ivory-ish warm tone to it. The size 8 beads, I could have seen making this whole piece out of these beads, out of this this matte metallic teal iris. I could almost have done that. I also find that matte beads are a little bit scritchy when they rub together. You know, scritchy is like when you eat a cheese that's really dry and it's a little bit crunchy in your teeth. It's a little scritchy, or nails on the chalkboard. Kind of, there's a little bit of scritchiness there. I don't like that so much. So putting this one in entirely, that matte may have given me a little bit of the scritches.
Yeah.
And I might not have loved that.
There's also some comment, and we'll talk about mine when Emily's done. People are noticing that my piece does indeed look a little bit bigger. And
Kate's doing a bigger tube.
I am making a bigger tube, so we'll show you that at the end.
Another reason it's taking a lot longer. It would have been twice as long.
I
or
know,
more.
but I wanted mine to be...
She wanted it to be juicy.
A little bigger. So.
Right. I did use Fireline for this, and Fireline's really my go-to thread for much of my seed bead stuff these days.
I like the Fireline too. That's what
I'm not
using.
looming with it, but I'm using it for almost a lot of everything else. It's so much more durable. So we have 2 sizes of shadows, the little shadows and the regular shadows. We have the bronze cubes. Again, the bronze really goes well, I think, with the seafoam green. It would have been fun to maybe have a matte cube in this as well. That would have been another combo to throw in. And then for a little bit of dark sparkle, we pulled a delica, and I particularly like the cuts in delicas.
Yeah,
ones that have
did the cut as well.
These have a little bit of a facet to them, so if we were to look at them really magnified, they're actually hexagonal, and so they have a really pretty kind of sparkle to them that I think balances really nicely with the seafoam, and I think it looks great against that matte teal iris, right?
Yeah, it's nice. So you have your piece here that you did with just a few little
so here's a new version, and this is with the 11s as my base, and I've used some of the cubes and the 8s as I'm going along. So if I were to use a delica now, it would draw it in tighter, and I really wanted places to add embellishments for this. So one of the things that I had been looking at for a long time were these nun design rings. I also wanted to do mixed metals with this. I wanted to have lots of different metallic elements, and so this is metal in a different color. And you can choose, you know, if you want to have silver or brass or bronze or your choice, you know, whatever color you really like. The joining bead is the larger of the nun design rings, and then the smaller one slides on, and I added some embellishments to each one of them. Okay.
So here you can see where this is closed up, right?
Where it's attached to the rings.
Will you show us how that?
Sure. You want me to do that now?
Will you?
Okay.
Will you?
Will you? Won't you? Absolutely. Now you could go to the smaller ring too, if you chose. I just thought the bigger ring had a little bit more. Oomph.
And it's nice if you want to add a charm or something.
Yeah, it's got a little more room to work. So I'm going to go to my tail of my thread, and I will throw a little extra wax on here because I haven't put any wax on that one. I don't think that tail end yet. And I'm going to go ahead and thread my needle. And remember, we're needling the thread, not threading the needle. Push the eye of the needle down on the end of that thread. Should go right through. Okay. Now here's another place where you get to play a bit. You could use the same bead for this connection, or you could use a different bead. Kate, what's your pleasure?
Let's use...
Look at those little shadows in
Yeah,
there.
they look so good.
Right.
Let's use the same bead, just so... I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Or use a different bead.
All right, it's really up to you. You pick.
Maybe use a different bead, like this guy, so we can see
Okay.
how it looks.
All right.
Then we can see which one goes around.
So this is my base row. This is the beginning of this little section, and I think this is the easiest place to use the that base row, and the easiest place to make my connection for right now. I'm going to make a connection at the other end too, but right now I may as well just start down here. I don't have to stop my work at any point. I can do this anytime. I'm going to string on some beads, and these are 8s. And I'm going to...
Scoot up just a little bit more.
All right. I'm going to decide... Let me pull my whole work table up here. How's that, Brandon?
Much better, thank you. I keep trying to
I'm leaning in more. I'm leaning in. I obviously made this already, so I've made a decision that 6 beads made a pretty good size loop. But we could make it a little bit bigger if we wanted.
To have a little more movement.
Have a little more movement, but I actually think 6 beads fits pretty well. So typically I would actually put some beads on my needle and loop it around that ring just to see what I thought. Now it might be that I want to add an extra one or take one away, and that's okay. Before it's stitched in, I'm good. I'm going to slide my beads down. Here's a really important moment as well in this this process. Make sure you put the ring on.
Yeah.
I did one when I was making this sample where I forgot to put the ring on. I got the loop all sewn down. I was like, oh look, shoot! I'm gonna have to undo.
Right.
I'm gonna have to cut this all and take it apart. I'm gonna slip my ring right on my thread. I'm gonna take my thread and go up a few beads. Oh no, I'm a little tight. You know what? I may have to change needle sizes. Oh, nope. I got it.
You got it.
I got it. All right. Pull it right up tight. Now, I really believe in at least 2 threads. Okay? You might want to... Oh, did I really... Oh, I did it right. Good. You might want to go through this 3 times, but I think 2 is plenty. And I'm going to take a half hitch, So I'm going to go between the beads with my needle, catching the thread that's in the beads. Okay.
So the loop that you're making is simply a loop.
Yeah.
You're not stitching across. It's not a stitched across loop.
What do you mean?
I mean, you're not herringboning the loop.
No.
The loop is just simply a loop that's been beaded.
So I'm going to go back. I took a little half hitch. I'm going to go back through my beads, back through the loop, very quiet.
And this is 4-pound fire line, right? Yeah. That's what we carry here at beadshop.com. And it's nice because it's really super sturdy, but it's also thin enough that you can go back through multiple times.
Yeah. I'm going to go up into my stack. And I might just go a few beads. Come on, needle.
Do you need a plier? Let me know.
No, I'm at that focal length problem where I can't quite see what I'm doing.
I can't see.
I'm doing it, but I can't quite see what I'm doing.
There we go. That looks good.
And I'm going to pick up again a little half hitch. Now this time, the easiest thing to do is just bridge across.
Right.
So luckily I have enough thread here to do what I need to do. Just going to bridge across just like I would normally. Come through. And now I already know how many beads I need, so I need 6. And these, oh boy, look at this, look at these beads, look at this bead right here. Oh, there's a reason to vet your beads. Because that guy is no bueno. At least not in this particular iteration.
And you could go down a little bit lower and it won't mess up the herringbone look, right? No. So you could weave down as well.
I do like to actually pick through these matte metallics a little bit because there are some blues and greens and golds, and I like to have a little bit of everything. Remember to stitch through the ring.
Right.
How important is that? Right?
Very.
Very. And I'll go up into my stacks again. And if you wanted to vary this one a little bit, in other words, not be at the same point, go a few more or a few fewer, you could do that and make an excuse for that. Pull it up, little half hitch. No glue needed on these guys, right? And I'll turn around, go back through my loop again. I might actually have to change needles, Kate, to a 12.
You want me to get you one? I've got one right here.
Would you grab one for me? And a little bit of a full bead there.
That's a 15. Here's a 12.
So sometimes, no, that's a 10, I think, over there.
No, I have
it is a 12. Sometimes you're going to find yourself stuck where you've got too many threads in your beads and you want to go down to a smaller needle. And that's okay. A 12 is really what I mostly work with, but a 10 would work for this for the most part. And again, working not on camera with hundreds of people watching and Brandon leaning in and keep motioning to me out of eyesight.
Out of frame, out of frame.
You know, I'm not out of frame.
No, I know.
All right, I will take a.
No,
you know what? Here. I'm not going to take a knot. I'm not going to do it.
No.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to live dangerously here. I'm going to go back up here and tie another half hitch. I'm not going to go through those 8s again. You know, I really risk breaking that bead, and I'm not going to take that gamble. So this is where life is fun, and our...
There's a plier there, though, if you need it.
Yeah, no, I don't want to do that. You know, the risk with a plier is that you're going to break a bead by forcing the needle through.
Yeah.
So I am not going to take that risk right now. I will not.
You will not.
I will not walk that tightrope. So 2 knots to 3 knots is probably going to be sufficient. And then I can just clip off this extra thread. And now I've got my ring attached.
No, it looks really nice.
So, you know, this is kind of a fun point where you can make some other dangles. We can use some head pins or eye pins to make dangles. We can use jump rings. I have to remember the name of these guys, Kate, and it drives me nuts every time. These brass points. Tell me the name of them again. Make a point. Thank you.
I love those.
These make a points. We could actually nestle them in between this if we wanted. We could have them hanging down on this dangle. Oh, I did it with a little bit of fire line
with that
loop.
Yeah, you made a little veil.
I did.
It was real pretty.
So when you're working with fire line, it's kind of a slightly pricier thread. So if you have a scrap of it that's only 5 or 6 inches long, hang on to it because you can use it to make one of these little dangles with. Just toot sweet and very, very cute.
And one of the things, so at this point, I also wanted to show people a couple of things that I've got going on mine so you guys can see the what I've got here. So I did, just like Emily did with her herringbone, but you can see from the top view how instead of starting with 4, I did 8 beads across. I doubled it. So in this photo here, instead of 4 rows, I had 8 rows. And then I folded it together.
Why so many?
I don't know. I just wanted it bigger, I guess. I don't know.
You could have gone up to bigger beads, too.
Yeah, I could have.
Could have just done it with 8s.
But I don't know. I like kind of how this rope is kind of, I don't know, kind of mushy. I don't know. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it collapses a little on itself.
Collapses a little. And also, you guys, take a look at the whole size that's in here. Now, I have a piece that's not that long. Let me measure this. And now that I know what I was doing wrong, it's going a lot faster. Who knew?
Moving right along.
But this is about a 4-inch piece. Now, something like this, I could just make short, like we did, where are the bracelets? Like we did here.
Yeah, right? You're more than halfway.
I'm more than halfway, and I can stitch it together, and I could have a little bracelet that rolls on, which is cool. But what you could also do, I've been thinking in my head, well, I'd really love this to look like a necklace like Emily's. So what I chose here to do my rings with is I chose some rings of bronze. And I could put that ring there. I could do like a little doubled ring, right? And go with 2 lengths of chain. I could do chain there to kind of, not have everything stitched. I have also the, they were, Janice and some others on the YouTube channel, on the YouTube feed, were talking about cord or leather. This is a 1.5 millimeter leather, but we also have it in the 2.0. So you could use this as a piece, especially when it's larger like this,
as a beaded tube,
and run a piece of leather through it. So you don't have to commit to
hours of work,
of work or whatever. And the color choices for mine, Emily's is called Into the Woods, mine is called Into the East, and it's under both of the it's under the Tubular Herringbone.
I found that this actually went pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Once I kind of moved along with it, but having that narrower tube
makes a big difference.
Makes a big difference.
See, because you can see the width of Emily's.
Yeah.
And could I have done it in 6?
Sure.
I could have. Yeah. So any multiple of 2 you could do. Yeah. So I don't know what I was thinking. I
didn't plan out these
these connections.
No, I just kind of went along and said, I'm kind of bored, let's try something else.
And you can see here, I've started to do these stripes. So now I would love it, if you would talk me through adding the big beads on here again.
Okay.
Would you?
Yeah, of course.
So I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to do.
You're going to step up or are you going to?
I am. Okay. So I'm going to do, I need some shadows here, little shadows, right? And I have the, maybe I'll do the cube.
Okay. You want to do
maybe I should do
something
the pearl.
like that?
Should I do the pearl?
Do the pearl.
I'll do the little shadows, then I'll do the pearls, then I'll do the little shadows again.
Because you don't have to do the little shadows if you don't want to. You could just do the pearls.
Well, I want to step up.
All right.
I don't know why.
It's
I
gonna
just do.
It's going to
be funny.
Yeah. No, it's going to be more like a bead.
Yeah, that's okay.
Because it'll wow out and back. Okay.
That's what I want.
All right.
So I've just stepped up. So I'm at the beginning.
You have plenty of thread too, just to work with. Okay.
And this is my, I think this is my...
Yep, you look even all
yeah,
around.
this is even.
Okay.
So I've got 3. You can see with my... Actually, I'm missing, you know what?
You're
I'm
missing a bead.
A bead right there.
Yeah.
So why don't I just do this? I'll come around and I'll add it.
Okay.
Right?
You're going to add a bridge there?
I'm going to add a bridge right here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to add the bead that I forgot.
Why don't you do one more row after that?
Okay. I had the bead that
Nope.
I forgot.
You're going to go down.
Right, but don't I have to herringbone it and pretend it's just like...
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Herringbone that sucker. There we go. There we go. I knew it looked funny.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'll just come up here.
Okay.
And we'll just pretend that's where I've started.
Okay.
There we go. All right. Ta-da! Okay, so now we can see, right, these are all even.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see there's my extra little bridge
right
there, but we're going to ignore it.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so what do I do?
2
little shadows, right?
And I would preview these just a slight
yeah.
The shadows do have some variations as well.
Those look good.
Okay.
I'm just going to herringbone them.
Mm-hmm.
Go down through the 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
up through the 2 and out, right?
In 1 stitch. Nice.
That's, you guys, what... So I was just going down 1 bead and not 2. And I'll tell you what, it made my herringbone not sit right.
It was a little bit tight as well.
Yeah, and it was a little bit flippy-floppy. So it just wasn't quite... it wasn't right. Yeah, see how those
nice recovery.
See, it just fits. I wasn't having that... That was not what was happening the last... It took me... I'm not kidding, like 4 days to do this much. I was like, this herringbone thing is...
Why didn't we FaceTime over that?
Well, I don't know.
What are you doing?
Pride goeth before a fall, Emily Miller. I'm all, I don't need Emily to teach me this. What? No?
You're missing a bead. Go.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
you're not. You want to come out that bead right there.
Oh, good one. See, Grandma can't see. Still, pride still goeth before a fall. There we go. All right, there we are. And now I'm going to do my last ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
This and this and this. All right, so I've come here. Now this is where I step up, right? So there's my 4.
Mm-hmm.
Now I go here.
Mm-hmm. And you'll be going up 3.
And I go up 3.
Because you're going up 2 from the last row and the row you just added.
And the new one.
Yep.
Right, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so now what happens? Now I go have
lather,
a martini.
rinse, repeat.
Okay, so see, I can see my little legs.
Yep.
So I'm going to put 2 Miyuki pearls.
2 Miyuki pearls.
No.
Yes.
And I go down here.
I double dog dare ya.
And then I go down 1.
2.
No, well I go down 1,
right.
1 shadow, 1 11.
Correct. 2 beads.
Okay, if you say.
Just
trust the process.
Trust.
Go up here.
Because what could happen? What's the worst that could happen? You fall on your butt?
I guess.
Thinking of those trust fall things that people do with you.
Yeah,
you know?
I don't.
What's
do
the
this.
worst?
I don't do this.
I would like to walk on fire though.
No.
No.
I feel like I walk on fire every day.
Well, of course.
No, I had my training wheels on my bike for like forever.
No, I never had training wheels. Laura Pinto, who lived on the corner, she put me on a bike and she said, "You don't need training wheels. Just pedal."
Oh, that Laura Pinto.
And I did.
Okay, I'm going to do this in slow-mo because Cindy Brooke asked me. So here's this. So these are here. So now they're sitting. I need to do 1 more set of the gigantic pearls like this. Oh, Gita's giving me my own quote. They're only beads. Thanks, Gita. You're right. So what?
Wait. What are you doing there?
I'm going through my last one.
Okay.
Oh, my.
Wait. You have beads on your needle.
Oh, see?
Stop the presses.
Stop it. So I go here.
1 more down.
Here. Because it's my last row. I got to step up. Right?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Here?
Yes.
No, I thought I stepped up here in my last row. This is the row I step up in.
Oh, you're right. I beg your pardon.
Okay.
You are correct. It's only 2.
It's only 2.
There you go.
So now I put on my last set of beads. 1, 2. That's what I did a lot too. I put my beads on before.
It's
so
like
my
it's
herringbone,
like bead embroidery.
Yeah,
it's like bead embroidery.
Here.
You gotta remember to come out the top of the thread.
So here I go down, and I'm going down the 2. Now this is where I step up, and you guys can really see I'm going to step up with these gigantic beads. So see how the feet. See, mine didn't. Yeah. It didn't look like that before.
Well, it does now.
Okay. So now I step up, and can you guys see? Now with this big bead, you can see
like
there's that
it
1,
kind of cool.
there's
It looks
that
like
2, And here's that.
Yeah.
Here's that third one. Right?
I think it looks like an alien.
Right. So I'm stepping up. You're missing my epic step up.
Okay.
Here it is.
That's it.
Right.
Yep.
So now if I want to go back down, I put on a little shadow. Right.
Mm-hmm. 2 actually.
Right. Well, the set. I'm thinking of the set. I know it's 2. The little shadow. It's like the royal we.
With capital.
That's right.
We are not amused.
Okay, so now I go down. I don't know if it's gonna. Come on. And through the shadow, right?
Mm-hmm. Bridge.
Gosh, that's tough.
Well,
come on, I can do it.
You got
it. It is. It's the very end of my focal range. Okay, shoot.
I'm gonna have to get magnifiers. I'm gonna have to start wearing.
Well, we've got some. Oh yeah, look at how that sits. It wasn't sitting like that before him. It was not. It was horrid. So now I go through the shadow.
Oh yeah.
Through that Miyuki pearl, which j'adore.
Pull it. Give a little tug on everything.
Okay.
There you go. It's a little
loosey goosey. Yeah. Okay. The shadow, and back through these 2. Yeah. You know what? I was only going through 1, and it was a mess. Maybe if I really learned how to do herringbone from you, or watched our video last time, I guess I would have learned. So,
check out
okay, I'm almost there. I'm going to get myself a few more, and then we're going to close it up, right?
Well, you're going to go back to an 11.
Right, we're going to go back to it.
And that'll
which
cinch
is what
it
I
in.
mean, cinching it in. So down, like this, right? So close. All right, Em, if you say.
What do they call it when an actor looks at the camera? Breaking the third
Oh,
wall?
breaking the fourth wall.
Fourth wall.
It's the fourth wall.
Fourth wall, okay.
Are we breaking the fourth wall? We break the fourth wall all the time. Acknowledging the audience.
I don't think it's a wall. You're actually
breaking the fourth vid. Okay, so now, I've gone, done it all. So now I go through 3. This is where I step up, and now I just do 11s, huh?
Yep.
And it's going to close it up, huh?
I don't know. Let's wait and see.
All right.
What could happen? What could possibly go wrong?
I have no idea. So then, what's next? What do you want to share next? I'm going to close this up.
I thought I'd make a dangle.
Yeah, you want to?
You want me to?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
But I wanted people to see actually using these big, gigantic beads.
Well, the pearls were kind of the biggest bead that we picked for this one.
They were a little, it was a little cray. All right. So
but I'm glad that you have beaten back the fears there.
I guess I have.
Right?
Sure. Oh, I see. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Who knew it would work? Okay. It really was, since I was doing the stitch so wrong.
It was
just not working.
Just not happening for you.
Not working.
Right?
No.
That's okay. And I'm glad I was here to help you out.
Yeah, I just wish everybody could have seen your happy face.
Wow.
My happy face?
Yeah, like, yes, I know. I'm helping.
Right, and then it just stitches back together. Whoops. See, I did that again. See how I did the stitch in between.
You didn't bridge.
I didn't. The bridge has beads on it.
And you could have beads on your bridge.
I could. I just would have to be consistent.
But you'd have to be consistent about it.
Bridge on the beads on the bridge.
So that would give you the legs within the columns would stick out, and you could do 1, 2, 3, and then 2, 1.
So it would really look more.
It would more
bead like a bead.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna try that. That is terribly clever.
So I thought maybe I would do this little dangle here, which is really kind of any of these could be done about the same way, right? Let's get this guy out here. He's pretty cute. I did a few dangles with head pins.
You're gonna have to bring everything up.
Yeah. Give me a second. Give me a second, Brenda. But I do a little dangle like this is super cute, and it's really just a scrap of fireline. a few inches long, 6 or 8 inches long with the needle on it. So if you have a little left over from stitching, that's all you need to do. And because this, I wanted to have this not be just a ring, I wanted to have it have a dangle. And I'm going to pick an arbitrary number of beads. I'm working without a net here. Okay. I'm going to start this a little bit differently.
You're completely off the screen.
Sorry. Okay. All right. I'm going to do this a little bit differently than you might think. Okay. So I'm going to make this little dangle right here. Just this little dude. That little dude right there. And I strung on an arbitrary number of size 8 beads. How many?
Don't know.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14.
Okay.
Just exactly 14, no more, no less. I'm going to pick up a spacer, a pearl, and now I am going to pick up a very specific number of size 11 seed beads. 3, 1, 2.
And your spacer was a happy donut.
Happy donut, thank you. We had happy donuts today, right?
Oh, I keep putting beads on my center. Just for don't listen to me.
All right.
On my bridge.
So notice that there's nothing happening with this extra bit of thread back here, right? But I'm going to go back up through my happy donut and my pearl, skipping the last 3 seed beads, which will then form a picot when I pull it up tight.
I like that picot.
I like a picot too. And then, without forgetting to put it on a ring, because that's also not so much fun, I'm going to go back through all my beads. Sorry, Brandon. Sorry. I'm correcting. I think I can get almost all of them on my needle. And if I pull it up tight, I should get a ring. Oh, it's twisted. There we go. And I'm going to take my tail of my tail and I'm going to tie it together. And this is a super quick, easy way of doing this. So if I was doing this with wire, like Softflex, or hardwire, like gold or copper wire, I would do it a little bit differently. But since I have thread, and thread is so malleable, this is really the easiest way to do this. Right? Bring it right around, knot it off. And I would put a little dot of glue on that knot, let it dry, and then trim the tails of thread off. And you've used a scrap of thread. I love a scrap.
That's a nice little dangle.
Right?
With that picot on the end.
Yeah. And these you can make anytime with any last little bit of bobbly bead you've got. On the smaller one, I hung one of those make-a-points, and I also made a little ring of donuts.
I love it.
I know. It's so
That's
pretty.
really pretty.
Oh, what happened?
So let me show you. So
What
I think this is looking good. I just wanted to show you guys. So I'm bringing it around now, and what wasn't happening when I was going down 1 bead and not 2 was I didn't have those little flanges.
You didn't have room for the beads.
So see how, I want you guys to see, because this is really, like Emily was saying, an exercise in faith. So see here, I've come around and I'm going to put on my, and it's also a little dance of like doing the tension correctly. So
well, and
here
this,
I'm going
when you
for
make
2.
that first bridge into the 11s again, everything's going to be zink.
Right.
It's gonna
so
zip
that's
right
what I'm
together.
doing here. So I'm doing that 11 bridge, and I come in and see how it just, it just comes together.
I mean, if it's this way on this end, it'll be the same way on the other side.
Yeah.
You just have to...
Right, you just have to finagle it. See, and also this bridge doesn't quite want to, so I have to just make sure to keep that tension.
Yep.
So see how that's coming together? So I'm going to do this again. I'm going to add my
pretty?
2. It really does. So stick with it, you guys, and make sure that you're doing the stitch correctly. And then it'll all come together. Any other dangles, Em, you want to show? Or do you want to show how you closed it? We also need to see.
Oh, I did the
how you
same.
connect.
So whenever I got done with a strip, I simply went back to another ring.
Oh, so you didn't stitch the ends together?
No.
Okay.
No, I just
so
went
closed it with an end.
Just closed it with a ring.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Nice.
You know, the little scraps of Fireline's expensive. An expensive thread as threads
relatively.
Go. Relatively. Yeah. But I think the trade-off is that you're getting something that's super secure and super durable.
Really strong.
With metal beads or beads that have rough holes.
Mm-hmm.
So our cubes, any of the metal beads we're using, the delicate or the shadows, all those beads have rough edges, and I would not trust this much effort and work to anything else but Fireline. But Fireline's pricey, and I would often come up with a scrap that's 10 inches long.
Right, just save it.
It's the perfect little bit of thread to use for a little dangle. You can use it doubled even if you've got a 12-inch long one and you want to use that bit up. But it is a pricier thread. It's one we don't want to be just throwing caution to the wind on. But dangles, here's another one, and I built it exactly the same way. I started with the beads for the loop. I did a pearl, happy donut, pearl, and on this one I did just one bead at the bottom. And it's nice to kind of vary it a little bit. I like to have my dangles sometimes be heavy at the top and taper to the bottom, or fat at the bottom and taper up at the top. So just play around with whatever beads you like. And it's not it's just a recipe and suggestions. Doing it on head pins, you're free to stack whatever beads in whatever order that you might like. You don't have to worry about durability of thread.
Looks pretty nice,
it looks great.
Not too bad.
Yeah.
And so then you just keep stitching along.
It's very opulent looking.
Fall into place, I think.
Yeah.
I think what I would do next time is I'm going to try it. I'll do it again because it was a little fiddly. I think I want 2 rows of shadows.
To give yourself just a little more
room,
okay.
I think.
Yeah, gives you a little bit more
these
flair
pearls,
there.
Yeah, the pearls want to tighten. But I think once I get back into the thing, it'll look just fine.
You know what else we should try here is bugle beads.
Bugles would be cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because it would give you another texture in your work.
And the monthly mix, I think we still have some of the monthly mix that Janice did this month called Ocean View, I think it's called. It has a mix. It also has bugles in it. So it'd be perfect. If you guys picked it up, it would be great for that.
So it was fun to play even with the smaller beads, too.
Yeah,
so
see,
throwing some delicas kind of cinch it in a little bit.
Yeah.
The process is really the same. And, you can really expand on having rows of different colors, rows of different sizes. There's one that I liked, and I didn't get to play with it enough again.
I like this one that has the big shadow. You've got this one, so the cubes, so you can see the, especially with the, like you were saying, the mixing of the metals and stuff, that little, the Ceylon bead here and the contrast between, it gives it a nice little, I don't know, bookends or whatever I want to call it.
And you can use different sized beads also on each stack if you want, and that's another way to get that other shape or other size or dimension in it. Sometimes I wasn't consistent about making a pattern, and that's just fun. The part of the fun of it. Oh, here's the little checkerboard one that I didn't get to do enough of. So I used 2 different sizes, extreme.
Oh, I see.
So a delica.
They offset each other.
Yeah, a delica and an 8, and as you turn it, the sides for each side is the same. Right? It's like a little domino effect. The dots and the dominoes kind of.
The pips, don't they?
Is that what they're called?
I believe they're called a pip.
The pip? Oh, I like that.
I think so.
I like that. And sometimes you might want to make your rings so that they get stuck. They don't move over a certain point. So if you're doing that as you go along and you're attaching to the big rings, make sure you put in the rings, these hard metal rings, where you'd like them to stay, so they don't. You want to trap them if that's what your design is.
It's really cool, you did a
beautiful, fun. Really fun,
beautiful, and job on that.
Really enjoyed wearing it.
Well, I'm excited to see what you guys do with
this
piece. I am a herringbone novice, so just kind of stick with it. Like my friend Mary says, the first round of this might look a little bit like the dog's breakfast, but that's okay. Just kind of let it keep going, and you'll be doing all right. So
Linda wanted to see how I would attach the small ring. So I would do the small ring the same, Linda, as I did the large ring, a couple of loops of thread. But most of the time I would use the small ring as one I just slid on to my work. So while I'm in progress, before I put on the next big ring, I can put that small ring on. And that gives me a place to attach stuff. So it's simply making a loop of thread, of beads and thread that fits through. That loop only has to be big enough for the ring, but it could be bigger. It's a choice, a design option. This one happened to be 6 size 8s.
So let me ask you this. See, as I've gone around and see how these kind of have, everything else is fairly tight. I have some space right here.
That's, you know, the bridges are going to have a little bit of space.
Okay.
You could possibly
Could I come back in and could I come back in and stitch it?
No, because
Should
if you do that, you're going to get a loop of thread.
Oh, right.
The original bridge, if you pull it tighter, there'll be a loop somewhere.
So I'll just let it go and tighten. So that's a thread issue, a tension issue. Okay, that's good to know. And then Angela asked earlier back, and if you just, I know it might be beyond the scope of what we're doing today, but with tubular herringbone, if we were doing the spiral, I remember you were telling me that's when you just don't do a step up. You just continue to stitch.
I think if you don't step up, you'll end up with a spiral.
But again, I think it's a little beyond the technique that we're doing today. But it's something that is great for the future, and I bet, Emily, you would do it. But yeah, I think that with this big one here, another row of the shadows would have allowed me a little more room.
I did a quick Google search. I didn't know if I'd actually seen twisted herringbone on as an on-purpose thing, but it looks like I see a tubular twisted herringbone.
Well, it's something you'll have to investigate.
I will have to investigate
and be back. Okay.
Interesting.
Oh, and that's a good. Spidey was saying, could you put a dragon scale on the bridge part? You sure could. It's a good idea.
A dragon scale.
A dragon scale.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
and you know, you can also throw in these little charms. Could go sit in the bridge too.
Yeah, it would be pretty.
Yep. Absolutely.
So yeah, so it's coming together. That section looks a lot nicer.
You know, Brandon was saying when that was kind of all sprouting out, it sort of looks like a flower or a pod or an alien or the end of a tassel or something.
Sea creature.
Sea creature, yeah. No, absolutely.
It looked really cool. I almost just left like that.
There we go. Some of these want to pop in, so I'm just telling it to.
You know, this is sort of a problem that I'm working on an iteration of the lantern earring, but a 3D one, and part of the problem is that it collapses in on itself.
So let me ask you this, because I do have one bead that wants to collapse, and I might just let it go. But could I have put on one Miyuki and one something smaller?
Sure.
Like a Miyuki pearl. So maybe it just wants 4, and maybe I would have put, does it have to be the same height?
Height would be, the closer to height it would be, the better.
Okay.
So you could have done a big shadow. Or I'm sorry, a shadow.
A shadow.
So, because that was quite a bit smaller.
Right.
You know, side to side.
Right. So it's not so bulbous, right?
Girth.
Right.
I guess is or circumference. That's not the word I want
to
use.
So this sticks out, the Miyuki, and if I put them with the whole side up, the Miyuki has more width than this. So that might counterbalance it.
We could have also done
and make these sit a little bit nicer.
Since you have 6 here, we could have done it with 3 of them having the pearls and 3 of them having something else.
Well, that's what I was saying. So that
I'm sorry, you don't have 6. You have 8 here.
I have 8.
So you could have done 2 pearls, 2 something else.
I see.
2 pearls,
I see.
2 something else.
Right.
Does that make sense?
On the legs, yeah.
On the legs,
on the legs. So this. So I would have done that. That. This. Where are my pearls at? There we go. Get that off of there. This. And this.
That might have given you a little bit more wiggle room to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would work too.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the way, I'm going to try it both ways.
Mm-hmm.
I actually might pick this back and because I will always see that.
Well, here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that that's really a problem.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what is the problem is that the rope is unsupported.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we can make an argument for putting a support in there.
Yeah, we
of
could.
some kind.
Yeah.
And that might be.
I'm gonna pull it out anyway.
Oh, don't yet.
Yeah.
Don't yet. Wait, not yet.
No,
Just a
okay.
second. Just a second.
Okay. Here's that. Here's the.
No, I don't want.
Yeah.
I need something more. Brandon,
Mm-hmm.
can you grab me a box over there that says gemstone and pearl?
Oh, so you want to put a bead in there?
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, I see. Could you do it with your arm, your shedding beads?
Sorry.
So like a 6/0 or something?
I was gonna do a 6mm.
Or 6mm, that's what I meant. And I think that's what Suzanne's saying. Suzanne says she's used a small bead in the middle of the big beads hiding in the tube. Yeah, and that would keep it all out. That makes sense. So it keeps it all together. Right? See that? So see what Emily did? She put that 6mm way down in there. That holds all of these out. And then you'd bring it all around.
And no one has to know any
Yeah,
the wiser.
that works.
That works
doesn't it?
okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that will just be captured by the tension of the beads.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not
That's
going to go
smart.
anywhere.
Mm-mm. That's really smart. So maybe I won't pull it out. Oh, me of little faith.
Stick with me, kid.
Right. Yeah, I see. I'm going to try and tighten this up a little bit anyway. Okay. I love it. I love it. Okay. Well, Em, I think we've come to the
We've
end
come around in a big circle.
of an epic broadcast.
Oh my God, I can always tell because the table looks like
Looks like this.
a bomb went off.
It does. It's true.
I'm not gonna touch anything. Don't touch anything.
No,
Let's
don't touch
turn the camera around.
That's right.
Then everybody can see
Then, right.
what this looks
What a
like.
mess.
There's
What a
all
mess we've
pens, paper were flying
Go
all
ahead.
around.
Go ahead.
Yep. Let's
Yeah.
do it. And I think you've got the sign in the drawer. Right?
I do.
Well, you guys,
Oops.
I know,
Leaking
we've
beads.
got beads all over, right? We've got all kinds of crazy stuff, but just how fun was this?
It was really a good one.
It was fun.
I'm so tickled by this. I know that this is not the last time that you're going to see this
Yeah,
piece.
no.
There's going to be other things happening
Mhm.
with this.
And I think that this one, and I think, will you slide this on so
Sure.
people can see this line?
You know what I had the greatest idea
Mhm.
was to do multiple rows of it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it would look nice with multiple, so it kind of came
Help me, I just
like
got
this.
myself
Oh,
my
here.
earring.
Let go.
There we go.
There you go. All right. And here's this. And let me, you know what, before you put that on, let me give it a quick measure. It is about 25 inches.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's a nice length. And you can see how the dangles just kind of float around. I'm going to do
So I would think I think having the big rings with multiple
Mhm, with
strands
multiple
of
strands
that
would be
coming down
gorgeous.
off, that might be really
You could
beautiful.
also have your link up here and connect a chain if
Oh,
you
yeah.
did chain, or if you did
Mhm.
like, you know, the piece that Janice just did called Loving with all the chain and stuff.
Right.
This would be a nice kind of intermingle.
It's
of
almost
that.
like a
It's a nice
like a
layering
stack.
piece. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. It's
Yeah.
really gorgeous. Another winner, another Seed Bead School winner.
I can't wait to see how this comes out, though. I'm really excited that you took on the big, the big. Well, it's not like you've had nothing else to do.
I know, I've been a little busy, but still. Yeah, but still. Yeah, but
I
still.
can't wait to see what you do with this, and I don't want you to take that one out. I want you to leave it as is and keep
Okay,
going,
we'll
because
keep
I think we
going.
fixed the problem.
Yeah, I think we did.
You know?
I'll just work on the tension just a bit.
And
no, it's right. It's good. It was a good solution. It's perfect.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. Well, Em, we are going to have you back. What is it? It's the middle of May or beginning of May, really.
Yeah.
So you'll be back. We're going to be doing. Let me pull up the calendar.
well, I'm going to be back in June.
Right, because let me pull up this calendar right here. and tell you guys that I think is it this weekend? Do you remember what weekend?
Let me get it. It is that weekend.
My calendar
it's
too.
Father's Day weekend.
Right. So we are doing a little bit of an open studio here. Not a little bit, a big bit.
Yeah.
Of an open studio here at our offices here in the studio. Oh, I'm like, where are my earrings? I took them off. I don't know where they went. Where'd they go? They're in this big pile. Let me put them on while I'm doing this. May.
Open studios for the.
It's the 15th, right?
Yeah.
So June 15th. Is that the right day? So it'll be in the newsletter and stuff as well. Emily's going to be here, and she'll be here for that Free Tip Friday on the 13th.
Mm-hmm.
And then that
The 14th.
Saturday, the 14th. And then that Saturday, the 15th, we're going to just have an open studio day, all day. We're going to have a little make and take that we will announce. It's going to be a fun one. So if you're in the Redwood City, California area.
Or you want to just come in and see us just because.
Yeah, just because.
Feel
Come
free.
on in. We'll be here.
Lots
we'll
of
be
hotels
working.
around here. Airport's close by.
It is.
You
so
can fly
close.
in and fly
you can
out.
Fly in, fly out like a rock star. It'd be really fun.
Don't have any luggage. I don't have any luggage to
We'll
check.
probably go live that day a couple of times.
Oh, I hope so.
On
Yeah.
on the Bead Shop and YouTube channels, Facebook and YouTube channels. So it's going to be fun. It'll be kind of a fun introduction to the makerspace. Kind of, as our friend Winnie likes to say, we're going to activate the makerspace here with activate the
Sounds
space,
like
which is
Transformers.
Yes, it's a very high art thing to say. We're going to activate the space, and then we're going to start with classes and stuff. It's going to be really exciting. So keep an eye out on our newsletter. So if you don't get our newsletter, go right to beadshop.com, sign up for the newsletter, and we'd be love to have you. I also wanted to mention, you guys, our challenge over on the bead table. Allie and the Bead Shop design team have put their heads together, and they are doing a challenge that's under the umbrella of components, but it's for tassels, creating a beaded tassel. So if you are in the bead table group, if you're not, over on Facebook, go join it. You have to answer 3 little questions to get through the spam filters, and then you can see in the files section there are the guidelines for it. And the guidelines for the challenge, I think the challenge is due at the end of May. And then all of those pieces that everybody submits, Allie is going to put together in a lookbook. So it's your chance, you guys, to be included in a Bead Shop Design Team lookbook, which is great. You can link your website or whatever it is you want. We'll be glad to add that info about you, but we would love to have you join in on that challenge. Allie has posted some of her samples of beaded tassels and stuff in the group, so we'd love to see you play along.
I want to play along in that too.
You can.
I know.
You certainly can.
I didn't know. I have to go look.
Yeah.
I have to go look.
And the last thing I wanted to mention this week, if you're watching this live, you know, you can start singing low. Keep singing low. Do my background noise. It's the week of Janice. Of May 8th is today. And Janice's birthday is actually also on Sunday, on Mother's Day. So it's a double whammy.
You're kidding me.
You Mother's Day and
that's like
JP's
the
birthday.
third person I know that has
Isn't
that birthday.
Funny?
Yeah.
And Janice has a big milestone birthday this month, or this year rather. So all this week we've kicked off an amazing kind of Janice birthday sale. So if you're doing any shopping today or all week, it goes actually through, I think it goes through the 13th, is that right? Yep, Monday the 13th of May 2019. And if you use Janice 30, we're having 30% off all week. This is like a holiday sale. It's huge. So jump in, grab your stuff, start herringboning. Ish. Herringbone stitching.
Stitch.
Whatever.
Okay.
That'll work. Herringbone stitching. Better, Brandon. Better, Brandon. So, and if you're watching this not live and you check this later and you're like, wait, the sale is over, don't worry. Go over, sign up to that newsletter. You'll get all of our communications, and we do all kinds of fun and fabulous stuff, and that's our main communication through you. All right. Well, Emily, I think we've vamped enough. I think that's the end.
Is it?
I guess so. But you'll be back soon. You'll be back in June.
Yeah.
It'll be great to see you.
It's going to be before you know it.
It's going to be really fun.
It's like a month away.
It is. And then we'll also have that great, that really great project that Emily hashed out yesterday. We can't wait to share that with you.
Absolutely. Do you think maybe we can have that for that Facebook, that Free Tip Friday?
Maybe we should do it on Free Tip Friday.
It's
a kind of an easy, fun one.
It's a takeoff.
Well, maybe that's what we'll do that day.
Okay.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
Smart.
Yeah.
Smart.
Smart.
Who's smart? Us. All right, and you guys too. Okay, you guys, I'll see you on Friday with something a little special for Janice's birthday for Free Tip Friday. I'll see you then. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, everybody. See you in a month.
Thanks.
You bet.
Bye-bye.
Bye.